There's a lot of things you can learn from rappers like Kendrick. I think Kendrick is one of the best role models for people and especially children in this day and age. He's someone who really knows how to get his message across, which I always have respected him for. So today I'm gonna look at 3 things you can learn from Kendrick and apply into your own life, whether it's from his mindset about life, his overall mentality, or from his music. Starting with number 1, Kendrick is authentic. Now the actual definition of authentic is something that's not fake, copied, and is genuine and real. And this is 100% Kendrick. We've seen from his music that he's someone who truly believes in telling real life stories, and like he himself would say, I don't fabricate it, And we've also seen from his heartfelt interviews where he talks about some really serious topics. So I want you to watch this video right here where Kendrick is talking about the whole controversy around rappers glorifying killings and drugs. So I'll play it right now and then we'll talk about it after.
I talk about it too. I talk about murder, I talk about violence, I talk about all of that. But the backstory behind it is the consequences for it. Who gives the consequences for it? Who's going to pay for these things? Not to glorify it, to educate you on it, to know that it's real. You know, these words are powerful. You know, I got homeboys that's dead, that's in prison, and sometimes you get a lot of artists that just glorify that. So these kids look at it, you know, they think it's nothing but cool until they put in a real situation where they back against the wall and it's all over.
Kendrick himself tells the world straight up that he's no different from rappers who glorify all these extremely bad things, except that he talks about the real consequences around if you're actually living that life. And you can see from this interview and listening to Kendrick's music that he really wants people to ask questions like, what kind of consequences will you face if you decide to live a life of crime and hurting people? Kendrick is being realistic about what being a role model actually is, but at the same time he knows that he has some type of responsibility and therefore he makes the music he makes the way he makes it. And of course, this is something that you can apply to your own life by always trying to be authentic and follow your own morals by acting according to what you believe in. Now, let's move on to the next thing you can learn from Kendrick, and that is he never forgot where he came from. So, if you listen to a project like Good Kid, Mad City, you know that there's always a deeper meaning and bigger picture behind everything that Kendrick says. After hearing all the stories that Kendrick has been telling throughout his projects, we all know that he simply hasn't forgotten where he came from. Kendrick realizes that there's people back home in Compton in his old community that still live a life of being scared and not knowing what tomorrow's gonna bring you. And that's exactly what I mean when I say that he did not forget where he came from. Now, I'm going to play you a little clip of him talking about just that, and we'll talk about it after.
These stories in Good Kid, Mad City, when you hear these stories in To Pimp a Butterfly, it's a little bit deeper than just the music. There's cats out here really trying to do something and really trying to spark the idea of positivity in the community. Let me tell my story. Let me tell other stories that's out here that want to do something different, but can't because you're in an environment where you just got to adapt. And what happens is it invites people in to get another perspective. It brings a whole another side of the world to Compton, to this backyard right here, and say, okay, these are actually people.
The way Kendrick talks about his community back in Compton makes you realize that he's extremely connected with them. And even though Kendrick isn't in the list of the most successful rappers living today, he really hasn't been blinded by all the success and the glory, which I think is a beautiful thing. And one thing you can learn from this is that you should always strive to remember where you came from. If you've been in a bad, harsh environment before, always try to go back mentally and remember, what was it like back in that environment? And that's gonna help you stay connected with yourself and your community, just like Kendrick. Now, the next thing, which is also the last thing you can learn from Kendrick, is that he always uses his power for good. Kendrick is someone who really uses his platform to speak about social issues and things that will be relevant years from now. And in that way, his music will always be timeless. So I'm gonna play a clip right now of him talking about just that, and we'll talk about it after.
Me, I'm just fortunate enough to translate them temptations through record. Right. You know, I always said that this is truly a gift for me. Putting these records out is a gift for me because I'm not only a voice for myself, but I'm a voice for people who can't express themselves like that. Right. And
now, I really loved when he said, putting these records out is a gift for me because I'm not only a voice for myself, but I'm a voice for people who can't express themselves. Now, as you can see, Kendrick realizes the power and the position he's in. And instead of being selfish, he does the opposite and uses his voice for the good. And this is ultimately one of the biggest reasons as to why I respect this guy so much, because it's not about himself, it's really about the people he represents. And this is something, of course, you can learn from. Whatever little power you have, use it for the better, because essentially it all starts with you, just like it did did with Kendrick, because it starts with one person, one voice, and one choice. So that was the end of this video. I really hope this video gave you another perspective on things, because just making this video made me realize some things. But what do you think about what Kendrick said? Did you learn anything from him talking? But as always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you're new here. This channel is all about bringing together people like you who enjoy hip-hop and start a discussion on different topics like this. And of course, like the video if you enjoyed it. And by the way, go hit me up on Twitter at BlackySpeakz, and I'll talk to you there, and I'm out.